Chapter 14, Big Brother. When my younger brother became student council president as a ninth grader at Rittenhouse Junior High, I was proud. In the years that followed, Bill and I played golf, flung frisbees, shared friends and cars. We were pals. But those days were yet to come. During the George Street years, the 4.5-year difference in our ages ruled out being pals. When I was in 4th grade, Bill was in kindergarten. When I was in 10th, he was in 6th. We had different friends, different involvements. Except for 2 years, we attended different schools. We shared parents and a house, but that was about all. Because I wasn't paying much attention to him then, my store of memories today is not nearly as well stocked as I would like it to be. I remember him, when he was very young, eating ashes from the coal furnace. I remember him pilfering my penny collection to buy an ice cream cone. I remember him as a toddler, packing our first puppy, Spot, into our father's black domed lunch pail. When this kept happening, Spot was sent off to a family without toddlers. A few years later, along came Lucky, so named because after the lunch pail puppy, we were lucky to get another. Part terrier, part unknown, a pretty mutt, mostly black, with white chest and paws and tip of tail. She was friendly, eager, barely disciplined, which is to say, she was like my little brother. They got along wonderfully. Here's a picture of our dog Lucky. I remember feet fighting in my bed, lying on our backs and flailing our feet at each other. It was just harmless boy horseplay, but sometimes I carried it far enough so that Bill wound up crying. I think now that in making him cry, I was fabricating an outlet for tender feelings toward my little brother that found no expression in the natural course of events. I remember Bill getting into trouble more than I, both at home and in school. I secretly admired him for daring to just do things, regardless of consequences. And I envied his animation. Well before I entered junior high, I began cooling out. Gone were the days when I would serenade passerbys from the gate in my yard or jingle-jangle off to school in my cowboy outfit. I was still friendly, but in a shyer, quieter way. Meanwhile, Bill was just lighting it up. He was everything I was not, bold and lively and funny. He was a natural mimic and a clown. He had, as the Lloyd Price song went, personality. And that's about it, the extent of my kidhood relationship with my brother Bill. Or so I thought. For something surprising happened, something nice, when I told him I was working on my autobiography. I invited him to jot down any recollections of me that he might have, in case I missed any. Several weeks later, he handed me a list of memorable moments. I read it over. I was stunned. I hardly recalled any of them. He remembers his own hurt feelings when I wouldn't let him ride my tricycle. He remembers as a preschooler how impressed he was that I could read cereal boxes. He remembers how angry I got when he raided my closet for shirts, and when he tangled the strings of my Howdy Doody puppet. He remembers fearing me when Raymond Chiliano beamed me with a pitch during a knee-high baseball game, and when the same Raymond Chiliano, knowing I could not swim, tipped me in my street clothes into the deep end of the pool at the Valley Forge Swim Club. Raymond was not always so hard on me. In fact, he was one of my best friends. He remembers an episode which, at the time, he considered positively historic. I was in the 5th grade at Herft Elementary. Bill was in 1st. Normally, we walked the 3 blocks home for lunch. But on this particular day, our mother had to be somewhere else, so she gave me money and told me to take my brother somewhere to eat. We met at noon. We went to a luncheonette a block away. We ordered our lunch, and for a little while, Billy Spinelli felt as big as anyone in that place. He was having lunch in a restaurant, not a parent or teacher in sight, off in the world with his big brother. On the way back to school, we were chased by bees. Bill remembers as clearly as I the dirt path by the railroad tracks. He especially remembers one day when I propped him on the bar of my Roadmaster and gave him a lift from the dead end to the park. He remembers feeling the carnival ride thrill of it. He remembers feeling proud and special. Most of all, he remembers feeling safe. His brother's breath in his ear, his brother's arms joining the handlebars in a protective embrace. Such are Bill's recollections, and after all these years they bumped me over to a new point of view. I have always tended to see our relationship from a single perspective, my own eyes, that is. Bill as my little brother. Now I see it from a second perspective, myself as his big brother. I have decided that I like Bill's memories of us better than my own. I especially like the one about the bike ride on the dirt path. I am picturing it now. I am feeling Bill's feeling of safety, and I am feeling the big brother in myself. Maybe, if I keep picturing this memory of Bill's and feeling it for a long enough time, it will begin to fool me into thinking it's my own. Here's my brother left and me clowning around at Christmas, 1957. The cigarettes are candy. That ends chapter 14. Take some time to answer the questions by going back into the text before moving on to the next chapter.